Hi, welcome to VNN. We have with us today Ambassador Praveen Varma, retired from the Indian Foreign Service, who is now settled in Toronto. And today we'll discuss the Citizenship Amendment Bill that was passed in India recently to last week in Lok Sabha and yesterday in the upper house of Parliament. It's very interesting times in India. So a lot of bills are being passed. Some are contentious, and I think, but most are being celebrated as great, as wonderful things happening in India, isn't it, by the people.
Thank you, Bala, for having me here. Well, it is interesting time, I would say, in the sense that things are happening which the BJP government had promised, and they are doing with slowly and steadily. Like this Constitution Amendment Bill, they had presented to the Parliament about some time ago, 6 months
In the Citizenship Bill.
Citizenship
that was first, I think, introduced in 2015.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it went through many parliaments.
They didn't put it in Rajya Sabha because they were not sure.
Sure of that.
This time they had the numbers and they had gone through it. So it's a bill which the government thinks is an important thing as a regional power and as a state which has to look after people who have come around from different countries and people who they feel that they are their own and they feel that they should be taken care of because they are being persecuted somewhere.
What's the genesis of the bill? I mean, I think this thing, the regime must have started in 1947 when the first wave after partition, the first wave of immigrants came in from both then East Pakistan and from the West Pakistan.
You see, the genesis, of course, is the partition.
Yeah. After that, I think many refugees came.
And after partition, there is a historical event also. Nehru and Liaquat Ali Khan
signed a
treaty under which Liaquat Ali Khan, as Prime Minister of Pakistan, assured that minorities will be taken care of. Oh. That promise has not been kept, which is the main fundamental argument of BJP government, that minorities in our neighboring countries like Bangladesh, which is a part of Pakistan at that time, Pakistan and Afghanistan have not been taken care of. Minorities which were in large numbers in Pakistan, I am told that they were at 23% at the time of partition. It's more or less around 3%, 4% like that. Similarly, in Bangladesh also, it's reduced by a large margin.
Drastic drop,
And in Afghanistan, although it was not a part of the Liaquat Treaty, but then they by proxy follow the same route, and there also the minorities have been reduced. So what this bill does is that all these minorities, the Hindu, Buddhists, Sikhs, the 6 religions, other than the Muslims. The Muslims have not been included because these are people fleeing on religious grounds.
And those are theocratic countries anyway.
Theocratic countries. So that is the basic argument, and our government says that if we don't protect them, who else will do that?
But even the refugees have been coming in apparently until 2014. People are still coming in from these places?
Yeah, people, you see, religious persecution, we've been having news even 1 month ago that a Hindu girl was forcibly converted or married.
Or a blasphemy case against Christians.
So those things are happening even today in, at least in Pakistan and Afghanistan. I have not heard much from Bangladesh recently, but then it has been happening in these countries, and this is a law which protects them and gives them a fast track to attain citizenship.
I think what they need a residency of not 6 years. 6 years now.
Earlier it was around 14 years or something, but now it is reduced for these people from these 3 countries for only 6 years.
But where are these people now? I mean, are they living in refugee camps or they are just dispersed across the country?
They are dispersed all over. They are dispersed anywhere, but basically they are in the border states. In Rajasthan they are there, in Punjab they are there, and in
the
northeastern states and in West Bengal, these states are there. Yes.
Now, what happens now? In northeast, you see, what they say that their tribal culture or their native culture will be diluted if these immigrants come and settle down there, and they will not have jobs, or their language is being destroyed. So how do you?
One would say their apprehension should be appreciated also. There'll be a certain number of people who will be getting citizenship and regular access to the employment avenues and the social security avenues and all other areas of social. They get assimilated in society. And all these northeastern states are quite demographically different than other states.
Yeah.
Part of them are in the inner line area where the tribals and the ethnic communities are being protected. Nobody is allowed, even some other Indian.
Yeah, you need special permits.
You have to need a special permit. But for others also, they have an apprehension that these people will come in and there will be lack of opportunities. I don't think that the protests over there are against the Constitution Amendment Bill.
No, I think
it is their apprehension that these people, which is an additional number, will take away their jobs.
And I think I have a feeling that this is being engineered also by some political parties in opposition, because
this is politics.
It is politics.
This is politics. Yeah.
Because I think the Home Minister and the Prime Minister have also assured, and the Chief Ministers of these states, they have said there's nothing going to happen.
Categorically have assured that nothing is going to happen. And they have asked the states to constitute a committee. You see, there is something called Schedule 6 of the Assam Accord. And under that Schedule 6, Assam at least has the authority to evolve a mechanism where they can themselves evolve a mechanism which will protect their ethnic minorities and their culture and the language and all these things, which he has said all other states can work on that.
But can some of these people be taken to other states and settle them there? I mean, is that possible?
Well, that is something which government has to decide at a later stage. That is not the immediate requirement, of course.
Because I mean,
people have moved from that area. There are these refugees who are, once they get their citizenship, then their mobility increases.
Right, that's true.
Once if they are not citizen or they are still a refugee status, then they remain rooted to a place where all the documentation is being processed and all that.
Right. So that's one way to stop this protest in the northeastern states.
That protest, I think, as you yourself said, that it is politically motivated, and that should die down quickly. I think the government should be working hard on that. Even today, they have sacked the police chiefs. I think they have been putting the new police chief, especially so because you've got a VIP visit coming up in that area. Guwahati, the Japanese Prime Minister is coming. So I'm sure this thing will, as it is, die down, but the government machinery will also work so that things. It's only the public profile what you have to convince the audience, because the media is active, and you have to convince people like here in Canada. If you are shown all those clips what's happening in Assam, one gets worried.
That's what this thing. But they think it's mainly because against the bill.
It was against the bill. You see,
it is not.
The entire media, not entire media, but there's a substantial chunk of media which is portraying that this agitation is against the Constitutional Amendment Bill, which is not. It is their apprehension that their jobs will go. Of course, it's a linked thing, but there is no direct connection. The issue of Constitutional Amendment Bill is not primary in their minds. Their mind is how should we protect our communities, our ethnicity, our language, and all our primary basic culture of Assam and nothing else.
It's strange. Many of the Western media, some of them, they say that it is discriminatory, that it is aimed at the Muslims. Is there any truth in that? Can there be any truth in it?
There is a track. The refugees are coming in, out of which we have identified these refugees who are
oppressed and those who are not oppressed.
Discriminated on the religious grounds in these three countries. So we have segregated them. And now these are religions which have evolved within the country itself. They are Indo-centric religions. All these religions we are talking about. Of course, Christianity is different, but Christians are also a big majority. So there is nothing which one could say that it is promoting Hindu Rashtra or anything, because it's so many religions all coming in. And the fact that they have been discriminated and persecuted has been historically documented and produced. So there is no issue about that. So I don't see any problem, and both the houses have passed it. So the legislative procedure is complete.
Well, there was a question about what about the Hazaras in Afghanistan or the Shias and Ahmadiyas in Pakistan? They are also being oppressed. Should we open the door to them to say
The door is open to them also.
Okay.
The door is open to them. They are also refugees, and they have come from. They are either political refugees or economic refugees. But they are not a refugee in this category.
Okay, not the religious persecution
Not
category.
the religious. So those roads are already open.
That can be a sort of asylum.
That is covered under the International Asylum Convention,
Categories,
and those things are already covered. So those things are going on, and anybody in India who is coming as a refugee and is illegal at the moment can apply for asylum on various grounds. These are the grounds. I can just quote political or economic or cultural, whatever it is. But these people have been identified within those who have been done because of the religious persecution, not following of the agreement between the two countries, and these are our own Indo-centric people. So there is a logic behind it, and that's how some of the jurists say that it's a different category. So it has its own position, and it would conform to the legal situation also.
So that's why I think the Tamils will be excluded. Tibetans, what about the Tibetans and the Tamils? And
again, there have been times and phases in India that where Tamils have been also given nationality. When Tibetans come as political refugees.
Yeah, but have they begin? Are they most of them are citizens of India now?
I really don't know the figures,
Okay.
but I'm sure Dharamsala would be full of.
Yeah, but are they Indian citizens? I don't. I would like to look at that.
I'm sure
They must be.
They must be, because
They must be traveling on Indian documents.
so much time has passed.
Yeah.
You see, 14 years for Tibetans is a long time. They would have come long time ago, and
I think they're still coming in apparently. That's the BBC reported that there are lots of Tibetan refugees still entering India. From where? Through Himachal Pradesh and.
We'll have to study that.
Yeah.
Study that. BBC has a bigger mechanism.
But nobody from Nepal. I think there's no refugees from Nepal.
No, again, you can be a refugee because
economic.
How can you be an economic refugee in Nepal?
Yeah, it can't be.
I don't know, because you can be poor.
But if people come in for employment in India, then can they also take up citizenship?
No, that is not a reason of asylum. There are certain conditions that, suppose, I'm not aware of the legal position on that, like for political, you have a political point of view, you are not accepted. If you follow that political point of view, then you are put in jail or persecuted, or then for escaping persecution, you run away. Similarly, you have a profession, you want to do something and that profession is banned, and if you do it, it's a hypothetical situation, but then one can only think of that. But there are categories of economic exploitation, and they can run it.
So this cut-off year has been put as 2014. What happens to those who have come in after that? They won't get citizenship, or they will not be considered? They'll be stateless in India?
No, I think there would... The normal laws of asylum and
that applies.
Nationality applies anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a fast track for those people who
already been here many years.
Yes.
Some from 1970s, 80s.
Maybe, yes, of course. Maybe some are still there from after 1947 who have not been able to regularize themselves. Anything could be there. We sitting over here do not have all details, but then that could be a situation, yes.
No, how do we explain it to, say, the Western world? The US, I think, Commission on Human Rights or something, they have said this is discriminatory. Is the Ministry of External Affairs to handle this?
Why should we bother about this? When they are not consistent in themselves.
Yeah.
And first they should consider their own minorities and see. You and I hear about minorities in USA. And what about recording and minorities in Canada?
Indigenous communities.
And let them handle it themselves. We have decided that in India we needed this category of people to be regularized. We have done it. It doesn't deny any other religion their right. You see, point is, if you say that only, okay, these people are there and these people are not there. Other people, their routes are already open. They can also apply. But their routes are different. These routes are different. And why are they different? because there are Hindu, Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, Parsis, who were in these countries, and they have been persecuted, which is a historical fact and a confirmed fact and documented fact, and they have run away and have come and taken refuge in India. So they have formed a specific category because most of these religions are Indo-centric, and these countries which promised them support have reneged from it. So that's how we explain them. And we are not denying the right of anybody. And the opposition parties in India are saying that this is anti-Muslim. There is no way an anti-Muslim legislation.
Because I think the Indian Union, Muslim League and the Congress, they are now approaching the Supreme Court, saying that this is unconstitutional.
Yeah, they will go against Article 14, but there are jurists who say that no, it doesn't impede that, because Article 14 has a provision which includes a specific group, which they call it intelligible differentia. There has to be a group which is intelligibly different from another group to make them applicable for certain exceptions. So this group, which has been religiously persecuted, is different from other refugees or asylum seekers who are not religiously persecuted. So they form a separate group. So for this separate group, government can legislate and pass on separate rules for them. That is the legal position which supporters of this bill are putting forward. I have no reason to dispute that. I have no reason to dispute the other side also. But of course, any day this legislation is subject to judicial review. Let the courts take it. We'll wait for.
But if I think the Parliament, both houses of Parliament have passed it, then I think that law it becomes supreme, isn't it? What is Supreme Court?
The court has a say on that. Court can turn down this legislation. Okay. That is the differentiation of power. That is why the judiciary has a different role, and legislature cannot sort of do anything which is unconstitutional. So
yeah, but
there are many a times.
Suppose if the Supreme Court says this is not constitutional, then what happens? They can pass an ordinance again. They can't let the law just die away, isn't it?
Yeah, but then the law dies away. Once the Supreme Court is concerned, then you take in an ordinance. The ordinance again, you'll have to pass it. Again, I think it is a circle of 2 or 3 times, then the ordinance prevails.
Then the ordinance prevails.
Then the ordinance prevails, yes. But once the Supreme Court says that it's unconstitutional, it becomes unconstitutional, period. That is their supremacy.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the legislature is supreme. They can pass the law if they
they can pass the law, they can overrule the Supreme Court again by an ordinance, and then once you have put in an ordinance, then you have to go through the legislature once again to ratify the legislature.
So foreign countries, they don't have any locus standi on this. There's nothing. Why should they say anything? It doesn't concern them.
My position is that let all the countries first handle their own minorities. Let there be a country which has a clear record of handling their minorities, come to us and say that, okay, you are not doing it. I don't think USA is one of those countries.
The strange thing was Imran Khan says, India is losing its secular facade, and he was giving a lecture the other day about secularism and how India should continue on its...
Imran Khan, that's what our Amit Shah said in the parliament, that the Congress parliamentarians and Imran Khan are speaking
the same languages.
Strange, but then, of course, Imran Khan has a right to say anything. I can't stop anybody talking anything. You can't stop any of these Western committees to say anything. Let them say. We can always say.
Afghanistan is quiet. They haven't said anything yet, and neither did Bangladesh. Did not make any statement.
Bangladesh has
made a statement.
They have sort of. The 2 visits have been cancelled. One ministerial and one regional. They say that Hindus are not being persecuted.
That
is their issue at the moment, which will have to be diplomatically handled, because Hindus, as I said before also, that we haven't had Hindus being persecuted lately in Bangladesh. So that will have to be, MEA will have to take care of that, because that issue has been taken up by them. 2 visits have been cancelled. But I'm sure there was persecution earlier, which is known, and after the army came in, there was mass migration.
After General Zia took over there. What about Myanmar? Because Shah Amit Shah said Rohingyas will not be allowed to settle in India under any condition.
You see, first of all, Rohingyas are not a refugee in our country.
Yeah, but
they are infiltrators because they are not coming from Myanmar. They are coming through
Bangladesh.
So
Right.
they are not refugees in our
And they
country.
were apparently settled in Jammu area also.
There was this influx of Rohingyas long time ago.
I see.
And most of them some settled in Assam and some settled in Jammu. They are settled all over.
How did they go? Yeah.
Refugees.
They just travel around. Yeah.
The only thing is that Rohingyas, I understand, have been found on the wrong side of the security perspective
Yeah.
of our government.
Oh.
Our
I think
security agencies have identified them as supporting terrorism activities over there or over here. So that is another issue. But the primary issue is that they are not refugees in our country.
I think even in Kerala, they say there are places like Bengali camps, they say. But I'm sure they must be Rohingyas, most of them.
No, Rohingyas are Myanmar. Bengali camp,
Yeah,
like in Delhi also, if you recall.
but they call themselves
most of these
they call them-
construction workers were Bengali refugees who were
But Rohingyas also call themselves Bengalis anyways, you know. So, or they speak Bengali?
No.
No.
And of course, if they are coming through West Bengal or Bangladesh, because the route for them to come in is via Bangladesh. If they stay there for a longer period, they would learn Bengali. But
What do they speak otherwise? They speak Burmese?
Burmese,
Yeah.
Myanmaris, whatever it is.
Rakin and Suchi is in The Hague.
Yes,
She was,
yes, he is protecting.
She's protested against the whole. She says there's no genocide, nothing. I mean, I don't know. Genocide is a loosely used
very
term.
loosely used word, but there must be merits on both sides of the case.
Yeah,
And
sure.
if she has gone there to protect the position,
Yeah.
I wish the best for her because the entire West is against her.
How are India's relations with Myanmar now? So good,
It's
isn't
okay.
it? Very good.
We don't have issues.
I think now there's a highway opening from between India, Myanmar, Thailand. Huge highway
The
project is
road
nearing
network
completion.
has
Yeah.
been increased
Okay.
quite a lot in the sense that we are doing much for communication and transportation routes in that area. So, and we have lots of bilateral projects going up between India and Myanmar. So we do not have issues, and we do not have any issues on Rohingyas also. So
Yeah.
we have no.
So I think ultimately, I mean, this protest in Northeast will die down very soon. I mean, I'm sure about this.
I think
quieten down
it's
in
a law and
couple
order.
of
I
days.
think
Law and order
it's a
situation.
political and law and order issue.
Yeah.
It has to be dealt with politically and
Law by police forces.
by
Yes.
police force,
That's-
yes. They have changed the chief of police, somebody more moderate or somebody more acceptable to those. That is the administration.
Yeah, like we said earlier, now we'll have to wait and see what's the next bombshell that Modi and Shah are going to do in India. Next bombshell.
Yes.
One after the other. Something or the other keeps happening.
Yes, something or the other keeps happening. People are busy.
Yeah.
And then like just now, the Supreme Court has disposed of all the cases.
Oh yeah, Ayodhya is all
Ayodhya
done.
is gone.
So that's closed.
Now there will be 10-15 cases on
this.
already the Muslim League, that All India Muslim something
Yeah.
has
Done
lodged
that,
a protest.
And the Congress has done that.
And the Congress will go, and there will be 4 or 5 other parties will go. They'll go. This will carry on for some time. By that time, another bombshell will come.
Anyway, that's like I said, interesting times. Eh?
Yeah, he has to keep everything alive till the next elections.
And but therefore, he has to focus on jobs and economy now. That's the main thing.
That is something which he has to focus simultaneously, because the economy is certainly not doing.
But that's the
as
thing.
well.
All over the world, it's the same thing. I mean, there's a downsize everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Including China.
yeah, agreed. But again, the perspective is different, and you have to do more than the others, not just pass on the blame. Because we are not saying that अच्छे दिन, the promise of
Yeah,
अच्छे
because
दिन. So that's what
that's
people say, that you promised such अच्छे दिन, and now you blame कि अच्छे दिन दूसरे के नहीं आए तो हमारे भी नहीं आए. That is not.
So that's not a thing. Yeah, simplistic solutions. Anyway, thank you, Ambassador Varma. And we've had an interesting discussion on this Citizenship Amendment Bill, and let us see how the things develop over the next few days.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yes, we should know, because 23rd the Japanese
Prime Minister will be visiting,
will be
and
visiting
we'll see what
Guwahati.
happens.
So
I think by the time it will be specified anyway. Thanks a lot.
thank you,
Dr. Varma.
Fahim.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.